An upcoming book by Michael Wolff, so bear that in mind, apparently has some new details about Rudy Giuliani and what he was getting up to in the days leading up to the end of the Trump presidency. So there was this critical moment leading up to January 6th where some people out there falsely believed that Mike Pence could overturn the election. And when I say some people, I mean the president and Rudy Giuliani. Now, the president doesn't have the excuse that Rudy does. The president doesn't drink. Rudy Giuliani never stops. And he was apparently heavily drinking, according to Michael Wolff, when he was telling Donald Trump that his false belief that Mike Pence could overturn the election results was totally true. He was drinking heavily in a constant state of excitation, which I guess I'd describe him as in a constant state of excitation. Often almost incoherent in his agitation and mania. In the book, Michael Wolff wrote that Giuliani, as though on a loop, would repeat, quote, "There is no question, none at all, that the VP can do this. That's a fact. The Constitution gives him the authority not to certify. It goes back to state legislatures." And two things about that. One, it's not true. It's just that wasn't true. And two, I really wonder how Michael Wolff is, what are his sources now? Because for his last, for Fire and Fury, he was in the building. He spent months in the White House. I don't think they're big fans of him since that book came out. So I'm not sure where he's getting his info from. But the picture that comes out of it, JR, of Rudy Giuliani really playing into the worst impulses of Donald Trump. It's interesting. It does not paint Rudy in a good light, and it's possible it could lead to a bit more of a divide between them.
Well, I mean, the one thing that I guess was startling to me is that even in private, the bad judicial advice that Rudy Giuliani would give is also the same they'd give in public. I thought the whole thing about releasing the Kraken with that lady and their whole panels and their Four Seasons appearances, all that stuff, I thought it was just like publicly embarrassing. I didn't know they embarrassed themselves in private too about these thoughts about he can definitely do it. There's 100% no question he can do it. Like you're supposed to say that on Fox News. You don't say that privately. You're supposed to privately go, hey, we don't really have much of a other way to do this except for unleashing our foot soldiers upon the Capitol. Let's go that route. Because that's what I thought they were saying behind the scenes. Apparently they would believe their BS the entire time. And number two, this kind of legal advice. Geez, man, somebody should suspend this guy's license.
They should really get around to that because this guy's he's drinking and it's an issue. So anyway, I also, and in terms of why this is important, I mean, remember, like, you didn't get tons of Republicans to switch from thinking Mike Pence is our guy, loyal foot soldier for the president, to literally hang him by chance. It wasn't some coincidence. It was a natural consequence of undiagnosed mental problems that people don't get help for, and being told you can have Trump as president if he does what he needs to do. Ergo, if he doesn't do what he needs to do, that's why you don't get Trump as president. That's what they spent weeks and weeks telling people. And so, yeah, he said it in the speech on the 6th before they went and stormed the Capitol. So anyway, after that, the speech where Donald Trump said he's gonna march with them, and then he just went to the White House and watched it on TV, which is just amazing that doesn't bother more people. Anyway, in the book, we have a little bit from what was going on in the White House on the 6th. Trump apparently told an aide by telephone, "This looks terrible, this is really bad. These aren't our people, these idiots with these outfits, they look like Democrats." So first of all, do they look like some Democrats? Sure, there's a lot of unkempt white people in this country, but they definitely also look like Republicans. And they're all dressed up in like insane Holocaust denial t-shirts, and they're waving their Trump flags. What about them made them look like Democrats? Like, do we need to like zoom in and enhance a photo and see that some of them have some avocado toast or something? Like, what was the thing that made them look like they're wearing your hat, man? You sold it, I didn't. So anyway, he did apparently think that it was bad at the moment. But remember, JR, he said that, saw that, and then just watched as hour after hour went by.
Yeah, if there were a bunch of Democrats running in the Capitol, why did you not say something about it then? Well, they asked you multiple times, Kevin McCarthy, who's now back on his knees kissing your butt again. He even said, I was begging him to come out and stop this. He didn't. So which side are you on, former guy? Is he on the side of these Democrats that were running up in the Capitol disguised as Republicans and MAGA, or is he for MAGA? Where's all the MAGA? I thought MAGA people flow in huge numbers wherever he is. So apparently his crowd size was minimal because there was no MAGA there, right? It was all Antifa and it was all Democrats, it was all progressives. They were standing there hugging trees and he was speaking to them. None of it has to make sense. He just says it. They look like Democrats because what does that look like? Who cares? Trump said it. Let's go with it.
Totally. Yeah, 100%. It was convenient. And it was a gradual thing. That phone call apparently was a little bit later on the day because apparently, like for the first 90 minutes or so, they were just treating it as an optics issue. And why? Because they knew that they were their people. He literally spoke to them and said, hey, all of you, go there, go do that thing. And then they went and did that thing, and it looked really bad. And that becomes an optics issue. It's their people, but it looks bad. And in the book, it says it wasn't until later in the 3 o'clock hour that Trump seemed to begin the transition from seeing the mob as people protesting the election, defending him so he would defend them, to seeing them as not our people. Therefore, he bore no responsibility for them. It took literally hours for him to switch over to that. And even then, like he went out and said, you're very special people. I love you very much, but you gotta go home now briefly. Totally. And still, it's Antifa that apparently is very special and that he loves. So that said, let's turn to something else in the news. Ugh. We're gonna see what happens with Michael Wolff. And by the way, who's to say how much you can trust Michael Wolff? I will just throw that out there. I don't take as gospel anything that Michael Wolff puts in his book. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.